can you believe that February is here? I can't believe 1 month of 2024 is already gone. So this is the 1st of February, and I want to start some of my seedlings today. Over the past week or so, I've been going through my seeds and kind of pulling out the ones that we will plant first. Thinking about those spring things that can stand a little frost. Cabbages, beets, all the greens, the radishes, the carrots, those kind of things. So I've got my selection out here, but I also want to start some of my seedlings for the cabbage and the peppers is really the main two. I might do 1 or 2 other ones, but that's the main ones I want to do. Now last year I started my cabbage and my peppers and things in January, and I think I jumped the gun too much. I think that was just too early. We had a strange spring last year. It took forever. It was like we had some warm weather and then it got cool again, and it just took forever for things to warm back up. So what happened, especially with the peppers, was they just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's just hard to keep them. Even if you up pot them, it's hard to find, though, that perfect little window of opportunity where you start your seedlings and maybe you up pot them once to give them more room to grow their little roots, but you hate to do it again and just have to keep doing that. Anyway, so I'll find out this year if this works better. I usually wait till about March to actually start my tomato seedlings, so I won't be doing any of that today. I think I'm going to share with you what we'll be planting this year for those early spring things. So I think I'll start with them first before I do any of the actual planting. So radishes are a wonderful thing to grow in the spring. You can grow them in the winter too. You can, here where I live, those are the 2 seasons. I said winter, I meant fall. Those are the 2 seasons, the spring, early spring and fall, when radishes do the best, because they don't like hot weather, and our summers are generally pretty hot. And radishes are really a great thing to grow if you like them. I love them. I love the taste of radishes. I just pull them up and eat them. I share them with Granny, and I've always shared them till this year with Miss Cindy. They love them as much as I do. I like to sprinkle salt on them, and I can just eat a bowl full of radishes. I just really love them. Matt and the girls don't care for them as much. I think one girl has begun to like them. Maybe that's Corey. Maybe she started liking them. Now, a lot of you have told me that I should roast them, and then we would all like them. I've not tried that yet, but I need to. But anyway, the great thing about growing them, if you like them, is that they mature, and they're the time it takes from when you plant them to when you can actually harvest them is very short compared to other things, usually within 25 to 30 days, depending, of course, on the variety. But so really quick turnaround. And what I like to do, and I direct sow those in the garden. I don't start them inside. I like to plant some, and then maybe a week later or even 2 weeks later plant some more, and that way you kind of stagger the planting. But first we'll go over, kind of look and see which ones I'm going to pull out. If you're someone that gardens, usually what happens is you gather seeds. And a lot of you have been so kind to send me seeds, so my seeds get larger every year, my seed collection, it seems like. And the great things about seeds is, if you have a brand new packet, like here's a brand new packet that I bought from M.I. Gardener, and it's not been opened yet, I probably won't plant all those this year. If I don't want to, I might, but if I didn't, I would just fold that back over and put them back in my collection, and they would still be fine next year. That's the amazing thing about seeds. You don't have to plant them all at once. You can save them and plant them later, and they most of the time will still germinate. I've had wonderful people tell me stories about finding seeds in their parents' cupboard, maybe when they passed away, unfortunately, and they knew they'd been in there, probably 10, 15 years, and they planted them and they grew just fine. Now, certainly fresh seeds have a better germination, but seeds still work even when they're years old most of the time, even though your germination rate may be a little lower. But sometimes it's not low at all, and it does really good. So while I'm doing this, though, this is I keep my seeds in. I will put a link to where you can see it, and you can find it in different big box stores, but I'll put a link to the one that I have, and it's the photo. Think of pictures when we all took pictures and used to have them developed. They fit in these little cases, and then they go in a larger case, and they just work perfectly for seeds. So this is my radishes and my beets. I think while I'm going through them, I will go ahead. I had some new packs here. I'll go ahead and go through all of them and see what I want to grow. Now, as far as the beets, most of the time, the ones that do the best for us is the Detroit dark red. But the last few years, I have really, really struggled with my beets. So if you have some tips and tricks for me, please share them in the comments. For years, I grew beets and they were just fine. They produced really well. We love them. We love them roasted in salads, things like that. Love to pickle them. But for the past couple of years, my beets have just been really pitiful. So I will appreciate any kind of tips that you can share with me. But I am going to lay out the Detroit dark red, and that's one I would direct sow. There's a rutabaga. I'm not going to grow that one. Although I'm tempted to. Maybe I will. I'll put that one out. Maybe I will. And this is a radish. I grew it last year. It's a hailstone, so it's like a white radish. And it did okay, but I don't know. I may not do that this year. These are some sparklers. That's one that does really well for me all the time. Another sparkler. There's another beet. This one is Lutz Green Leaf Winter Keeper. Maybe I'll lay that out. There's another Lutz. I was supposed to say it looks like that one's been open, but it's just dirty. It's just where it was dirty. Here's an early Scarlet Globe. That one does good for us, so I'm going to lay that one out. There's a Cherry Bell radish, and this was, Karen sent me this. Thank you, Karen. So I may lay that one out. Let's see. This beet is Bull's Blood. I'm thinking that I've got some in here that's been opened before, so I'm going to look through and see if I make sure I do. There's a Detroit that's been opened before, so I'm going to put it out. This one, Early Wonder Tall Top Beet, I've tried it a couple of times and I used to do good, but again, I've not had much luck the last 2 years. Here is a sparkler white tip radish. I'm going to get that one. There's the French Breakfast. A lot of people like those. I'm not going to do those this year. These are some of the same varieties here, same ones. This one's interesting. It's an Easter egg blend, and it is a radish, but it's kind of got like purplish and white and pinks. I don't know, maybe it might be fun to try that one. And then these were my newer ones this year. Cherry Bell. I think I laid out a Cherry Bell. There's another Hailstone. I'm not going to do that one. I had the Early Scarlet Sparkler. And there's my beets. Maybe I'll lay out one more cherry. So now I'm good on my radishes and beets. That's just what I'll plant this year. I've got a little, let me get it over here. I used this last year and it worked good just to keep the ones that I knew I was going to plant. Now I say I know I'm going to plant them, but on the day of planting, sometimes I get a wild hair and I run back in here and get something else, or I change my mind about one of these, but for now, that's what I'm going to go with. I put my little basket right here. Now, so we have those done. I think now we'll go on to the carrots and the parsnips. And I have, again, some right here. I know that I've never grown parsnips. I've never had success with them. And truthfully, I've never liked parsnips very much. I didn't even know about parsnips, truthfully, until I was an adult. And I remember Hubert Kirkland told me that his mother always grew parsnips every year when he was a boy growing up. And so therefore he grew them, and he really liked them. And he shared seeds with me one time, and I tried to plant them, and I didn't have any luck. I probably didn't do it right, I'm sure. But Corey and Katie love parsnips. There's a parsnip stew recipe. It's got chicken in it and parsnips, and they just adore it. So they've got me to where I like them more than I used to. Anyway, Debbie shared these parsnip seeds with us from Bryson Farm Supply, so I think I'm going to set those out, because at least maybe I'll try a few of Debbie's and hopefully they'll do good. And then I'm going to go through the carrots. I've got a lot of these kind of kaleidoscope blend carrots. I've not really tried those, I don't think. There's one that's open though, and Brenda sent me them. I think I'll lay them out. This is some that Katie got me for Christmas. Scarlet carrot seeds, Scarlet Nantes, Nantes. I'm sure it's saying that wrong, but since Katie got them, I'll try those. There's more of those rainbow mixed. There's another parsnip, but I'll save those. This is a Danvers carrot that I thought sounded good from In My Gardener, so I'm going to lay that out. There's a purple one. I don't guess I'll do that. Let's see. There's that same one that Katie got me, so maybe, and I've opened it before, I can tell, so I'll lay it out. I've also opened this one before. This is a Danvers, so that must be a popular one there. And another parsnip, Little Fingers. Seems like I tried that one, but they were so small. I think I preferred the larger one, so I'll just hold on to that one. And then that one's a Danvers. So carrots usually come, you can kind of feel in the bottom of the packet. Their seeds are so small that usually there's a lot of carrots just in those. Maybe I should pick one more though. Which one? I don't want the Little Fingers. This is a red core. Red core, I can't say it. Chantenany. Chantenay. Maybe I'll try that one. Okay, so that's it for my, got that one. That's it for the carrots. And the parsnips too that I was doing for Debbie, or in honor of Debbie, I guess. Debbie also, though, now that I look, gave me some beets, so maybe I should lay those. I put those, stick those in there with the beets. Now, when it comes to like lettuces and things like that, I have some favorite lettuce and kale that I like to grow. I really like pretty much all the kale. Some of my favorite lettuces, though, my two favorite ones are Jericho. I find that lettuce really holds up and doesn't bolt in the spring, and I really love the I love the flavor, I love the tenderness of it, but it also kind of holds up good for kilt lettuce. We love to make kilt lettuce, and also on sandwiches or hot dogs or things like that. So I always make sure to grow some of it, and I have some right here, some of my seeds, so I'll lay those out for my ones I definitely want to grow. There's another one. And then I also like Paris Island. I think that's a great one, Paris Island. And that one reminds me of Pap, of course, because he was a Marine. So I really like that one, though. Those are my two favorites. But then I have some, lettuces are easy to grow, so it's hard not to be tempted by all the colored ones, you know. So Lisa Beasley sent me this one, Marlowe lettuce. It's like a purple hue, so I'm going to lay that one out. I think that would be really good. That's another Jericho. And this one was just, Karen sent me this one, Salad Bowl Green. And I think I tried it last year, and it was really prolific and really did good. It didn't last in the heat the way the Jericho would, but I'm going to lay it out. And then this one's really interesting. It's Miner's lettuce. You've probably heard of it before. And I've grown it several times, and it's more of like a, I guess you would say like just something fun to grow for us. It's not that we consume a lot of it. It is fun to grow it and throw it in salads because it kind of looks unique. It kind of has if you think of nasturtiums, it kind of has that same green or roundish kind of, I don't know, not a tight circle, but a loose circle. But it doesn't, the leaves don't get near as large as the nasturtiums. But anyway, it's a nice one to kind of grow, or they don't for me. They may in other places. But anyway, I'm going to lay that one out too. Now, I always have a big debate in my mind about kale, if I should grow any kale. Once we start eating the lettuce, and then it seems like things go so fast by the time you're eating your lettuce and your radishes and things like that, your spring onions. Then it seems like it just goes so fast into the heat, and then all of a sudden you've got squash and zucchini and tomatoes and all that. So usually I save all my kale to grow in the fall. But I don't know, I got some from Debbie, so I'm thinking I'm just gonna, that's the only one. I had these two, but I think I'm gonna put these two up. I'm not gonna leave those out. And again, I'm gonna go with Debbie, that I got some Matt visited with her before they had to close. The state took part of her store. Anyway, so I'm going to lay that one out. Now, the other ones, looks like all I've laid out is I have some evergreen bunching onion. I'm going to try that. I have some like Egyptian onions growing in the garden. I actually have onions growing from last fall. I'm just going to leave them there. We've been eating on them all winter, but we've just somehow not managed to eat them all. I'm going to leave them and see if they have a kind of a new growth spurt this spring, if we don't eat them before then. Anyway, and then I found these. Patricia sent me these wild leek seed ramp. So I would be tickled pink if I could manage to get a start of ramps here. But anyway, I might plant those in one of my in here just so I could keep a really good eye on them and see what happens. That would just be interesting. I don't have much faith in myself to start these, but we'll see. So I'm going to put those over here so I know that I'm going to start those inside. The buncheon onion, I'm not sure if I should start them inside or if this says sow in open ground, so I'm just going to put those in with in my little basket here. Now, the other things that I would start, I will start some onion buttons, but I'll just buy those at the store, so I won't have to worry about starting them in my first planting here, thinking about the things that we're going to plant. And it'll be a few more weeks before we plant any of these things, except my carrots. The past 2 years is the first time that I've ever grown carrots, ever managed to, and both times I planted them in February. So I'm going to plant those in the coming weeks, and maybe I could do those onions too. So now that I've got those situated, I can go on to the ones that I'm actually going to plant today. I'm going to set my little basket over here on the corner. So I've already got my little ramps that I'm going to try to plant a few of. And maybe before I start, first I'm going to go ahead and go through them and pick them out, and then I'll tell you about how I start them. So another one that I've laid out is pansies. This is Loretta Taylor sent me these. And I didn't really read on the back. It says you can sow outdoors in early spring in a sunny to partial shade location. So I don't know. I was thinking I might start a few in here though to see. When we were, every store you go to, if they've got plants this time of the year, that's what you see is pansies. That's some of the first things they start putting out, and they're always so pretty, so pretty. So I don't know. I'll have to think about that if I want to plant them in here. We'll see how that goes, or if I'm going to do them outside. But one thing I definitely want to plant today is my cabbage. We love cabbage. We love, of course, slaw. I love to eat it raw. I just chop it up, put salt on it, and eat it like that. I could eat it all day long just like that. We make slaw a lot, and then, of course, we make kraut. And last year, the kraut that we made, it's just, I don't know, well, two things. Maybe sometimes kraut years are better than others, so it could have just been that. But also, the kraut that I made Granny's way in the jar was just like the best that I've ever made. Best I've ever made. And I'm like, why have I not listened to Granny all these years? It's easier, and it was just, we all thought it was the best that we'd ever eaten. So it's almost, I think it is all gone actually now that I think about it. And then another thing we made was the canned slaw, and that was really good. And I only made like 6 jars of it, so I'd like to do that again. Anyway, so we always try to grow cabbage. And for the past several years, we've grown cabbage under a row cover. Now, when I say row cover, that's like the white, almost like tulle. A lot of people have told me that they use that like a gauzy material. I've bought mine, just called row cover. It's not to keep it from getting cold. It lets in the air, it lets in the sunshine, and it lets in rain. There's some things like that that'll let in the rain and the sunshine, but it's like a protective barrier too that will help with the freezing. This does not, that I use. But what it helps is we leave that on it until we harvest the cabbage. Once we plant it, we cover it with that, and it keeps the cabbage the larvae from laying their eggs and from the worms getting in your cabbage. Now, Pap always grew cabbage when I was growing up. Him and Granny loved it, and they grew it. But that was always an issue. And Pap used 7 Dust. He just dusted his with 7 Dust. Me and Matt don't like to do that because we don't like to think about that being on our food, you know. But anyway, this friend, Ed Ammons, shared with me that he covered his and he didn't have any problem with insects. Well, he's right. All these years now that we've been doing this, I guess this will be the 4th year. No trouble with insects whatsoever. It just protects the cabbage. So we love to do it that way. So now I'm going to go through and see. I know there's some of my onions that was hiding. There's some buncheon onions. I'll have to think about those. I'll look at those in a minute. Oh, looks like I've got a lot of onions in there. See if I can find all my cabbage. More onions, and more onions. So late flat Dutch. That's one that we've grown often. Probably my favorite that we have grown is Copenhagen. I really like that one. I'm sure I've got one that's already open. Let's see what this one is. Yes, Copenhagen Market. So I'm going to leave that one out. I'm definitely going to do those. And then I'm going to, the Charleston Wakefield. I grew that one, but I don't think I liked it as much, so I'm not going to do it this year. I think I'll go back to let's read about the flat Dutch. Large head and variety, perfect for storage. Yes, okay, so I'm going to just do I'm going to keep it really simple, and I'm just going to do the Copenhagen Market that I like and the flat late Dutch. Those are the only two I'm going to do. And as I'm feeling in it, that's probably enough seeds for both of those. Just in case, I'll leave out these new packets. There's a Brunswick. It seems like we did that too, but I can't really remember if I liked it or not, so I'm not even going to fool with it. I'm just going to put those all back in there. Now, another thing that I've only started growing in the last year or two is kohlrabi. I truthfully had never even eaten that growing up. I didn't even know what it was. I never heard of it, anything like that. But Miss Cindy introduced me to it, and I liked it. And then I just figured out I could grow it, and so I liked it even better. But we would use it the same way that we would cabbage. So we might make a slaw. Most of the time, though, truthfully, what we do with it is just I slice it thinly and just put it out like as a kind of a side to our whatever we're eating, and just like I would the radishes or the green onions, and we just put it, you know, people can put salt on it, they can dip it in something if they want to, whatever they want to do, because it tastes very, very similar to cabbage. So I think I'll leave, that's one though that I will direct sow. I won't try to do it in here, or should I? I don't know. Maybe I'll start one or two, or maybe I'll see how my things go, so I'll see about that. So those are ones that we're going to try. And then should I go back through the onions? I don't know. Matt and I really had never grown onions as far as to grow big giant onions that we would then save for the next winter. We've never really had enough space to do that. And so we typically grow green onions that we would eat fresh through the garden all summer long. And then if any of them do get any size on them, then we save those. We let them dry on the porch and use them, but they by no means get us through the winter. I wonder why. These are space efficient. And these are start indoors. Tokyo long white buncheon onion. Maybe I don't know, that sounds interesting. This is a cross between a buncheon onion and a bulbing onion. This will be the easiest or the earliest bunching onion in the garden. Mild flavor and long tops. Perfect cooked in recipes or sliced as thin garnish. It is similar to a scallion for overwintering in the north region. So it's again start indoor. Or you can do, yeah, you need to start it indoors. That's a guardsman. I don't know. Maybe I won't do that one. Whoops, throw those down. Nebuka, Nebuka, evergreen buncheon onion. This variety is essential to Japanese and Chinese cooking. Long green stalks split from white bulbs to form clusters of delicious garnishes for any dish. Hardy and cold resistant. I should have tried that in the fall. Maybe I'll hold on to that one in the fall. Okay, so that's like a large onion. I'm not going to try to do it. Okay, so that's it for the onions. Lay those out. Through with this one. I'll put in a stack. So now the only thing left is the peppers. I got to figure out what kind of peppers we're going to grow this year. I always just get them all out and flip through them and see what catches my eye. And some we like to grow every year. Let's see, this is a Garden Leader Monster Bell. I probably should put all the bells together and then decide. Those are, because there's a lot of them. Here's a jalapeno. I want to do that definitely for Matt. A shishito. Those are among our favorites. We really like the YOLO, so that might be. Pepperoni. I might try. I don't know. That's one I've bought. the habanada, I really love it, and this is one that's not got heat to it. You can get them that are really, really hot, but this one does not have heat, so I'm going to definitely put that one out. Oh, and there's some more of those. I wonder if I've opened it. I don't think so. Cayennes, Matt likes those, so maybe I'll do 2 or 3 of those. There's another sweet pepper. More of the shishitos, and I've already opened this one, so I definitely should do that one instead of this one and save it. Wonder how many's in it though. Feels like quite a few. Golden Marconi, that one we really like. That one does really good for us, and I've opened it before, so I'll leave it out. There's a California Wonder, and I've opened it. Some banana peppers. Let's see. This one's Glenda has sent me. So this is like a jalapeno, but not a pino, I guess you would say. And it's kind of like the jalapeno, but with no heat. That sounds interesting. I don't like hot. Matt does. It's funny, Matt likes the hot peppers, but then I like the heat from the radishes or horseradish, those kind of things, and Matt does not like that. This is a, let's see, that's one of those that Glenda sent, and that one's already been opened, so I think I'll swap it out. There's more of the habanadas that have been opened that Glenda sent me, so I'll try if I don't have enough in my pack. This one I've wrote didn't grow, so I wonder why do I even keep it? I guess I'm thinking about in an emergency I would try it again, and this one says didn't grow too. Maybe I should just toss them. There's a Cayenne Carolina. That's only got, I can't tell how many seeds. Maybe I'll leave it over there. Banana, YOLO, and let's see. Maybe I've got too many peppers to think about. This one's open, and we do love the California Wonder, so I think I'll do it. And this one's open, and we like the YOLO, so I think I'll do that. So there. Now, Susie sent us this. Sarah, I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff. SERRANOTAMPIQUENO. That they are very, very hot. So maybe I should do one of those for Matt. Maybe I'll lay that one out and do that. So, I think now, I feel so good to have this part done. I think now that I'm ready, just as a matter of actually putting the seeds in the containers here. Now, for many years, we have actually started our seeds, especially tomatoes and peppers. Think about those. And we would do it in our greenhouse. It's so chilly out there this time of the year, we would wait. We couldn't do it right now, so we would wait like till March when we were going to do our tomatoes, and we'd do our peppers then. But peppers grow so slow that by the time we put them out, the tomatoes would be big and nice, when they were ready to go outside, and the peppers would still be about this little. And what that caused was they still grew, and they did produce for us, but we ended up not getting peppers until like August. We didn't get any during the summer. They all come in at the end. So for the past 2 years, I think 2, maybe 3, but I guess 3, we've tried to start the cabbage at least and the peppers inside. And the first year that I tried it, maybe I tried it even before that, I tried to do it in the basement, and they just didn't do as good down there. And then last year I got or maybe it was year before last, I guess, I got like a kind of a shelf for them to go in, and I'll link to it so you can see it, that has lights in it. And then I put them in it, and I put them just in the corner of the living room, and I started them in there. And I put some heat mats under them. I already had the heat mats because I'd tried that in the basement. It just didn't really work. So I put the heat mats for just the first little bit till they germinate, and then I take those out, and then they just stay in the living room until it's warm enough to move them to the greenhouse. Or like with the cabbage, hopefully I could up pot them and then either put them in the greenhouse or just put them straight out in the ground. But with the peppers, we would up pot them, and then eventually as the spring gets closer and it gets warmer in the greenhouse, we put them in there. We do have like a little heater we can put in the greenhouse, but it's not enough because living here on the north side, and then this time of the year, temperatures at night still get way below freezing, so our one little heater is not really enough to keep it warm enough in there for seeds to germinate or for things like the peppers to actually thrive. Once you get to March, there's still cool nights, but there's less every day, you know, every day's less. And then on the bitter cold nights is when we turn that little heater on. But other than that, we just let them, they just kind of have to suffer, because then usually that's one night of cold weather and then it kind of warms back up. Anyway, that's how we do it. The past few years I've been using this to start my seeds in, and I think this was Burpee. I found this like at a Tractor Supply or something. I just happened to see them, and I like it because these little bottoms are, you can push up to get your plant out if you're up potting, or even if you were going to plant it directly outside. It comes with this little tray on the bottom to put underneath it so it catches any kind of liquid or anything like that, and they have held up really good. This one, this is not a good example. This one's not held up good because I've left this one outside and it's got brittle. But let me see if I can. So here's one. If you actually take care of them and put them away like you're supposed to, here's one. And you can see this would be like the third year that I've used them, and they've lasted really good. So if you don't leave them outside like I did this one. So now I think I just need to get started putting my dirt in. And when it comes to dirt, to soil, there's all kinds of, I like to say about gardening, it's like everything else. There's so many different ways to do it and still have it work out. For many people, they buy like a specialized kind of soil, and I'm sure it works fantastic. But for me, when I started gardening, I didn't even know things like that. So to start my seedlings in, I just bought potting soil, and that's what I've been doing all these years, and it works for us. I'm sure that soil, if you get a specially kind of seeding soil, I'm sure it is much better. But for me, I just use potting soil. So this is just a potting mix that I got at Walmart, for just like you'd buy to put your house plants in, and it works well for me. So that's what kind of soil that I use. So now I think I'll just get started filling all of my, make me a little bit of room here. I got my little cup here. Get started putting some soil in them. These are nice too because you can do it all at once. There's all kinds of seed starting things though. Some really nice trays that are large that you can get. You can get the ones that are real tiny, and then you up pot from that. I'm making a mess. I hate to up pot. So when I seen these, I thought, well, I still probably have to up pot, but not as often. Like the little seed plugs. So and these worked. When I seen them, I was hoping they would work good, and they did, and then I ended up getting more either that same year or the next year. Another thing, a lot of people, and it's, again, you just have to figure out what works for you, is that they go ahead and moisten their soil before they actually plant their seeds in it. I didn't even know you're supposed to do that, so I'd never done that. So I just do it the way I always have. So I do not go ahead and wet mine. But again, you should research, and better than that, I think you should research, and then what's the best thing is you should try and see what works for you. And then figure out what you like and what you don't like. I have some little things I'm going to write on, because if you watch our videos, you know I'm bad to get things mixed up. So hopefully this will help. And now I'm just going to get started putting the seeds in. Okay, I got my seedlings on the shelf here. This is the second shelf like this we've had. The first one was slightly different. Matt put this one together. He said the directions were horrible, they were terrible, and he finally just threw the directions down and did it to how he thought it should go. So it may not be exactly right, but of course it's going to work. The first one that we had, it just it didn't hold up good. The lights began to go out. So we had some grow lights that we had used the first time I tried to grow stuff inside, and Matt zip tied them to where its lights were at. Now this one is sturdier feeling. It did not come with like the little shroud of plastic that goes over it like the one I had, the previous one that I had. But it seems sturdier. But still, if you were going to invest in some kind of indoor grow lights, my advice would be to search out one of those do-it-yourself ones where you can buy the fluorescent bulbs or whatever kind of bulbs it is that you need, and do it all yourself. It would be cheaper, and I think it would be better too. So that would be my suggestion. I will link to this one, but again, Matt said the directions were horrid. It is one that, and it might be what made the directions worse than usual, is that it's like part of the advertisement was like, you can make it in different configurations. You could make 2 out of it, you could make 1, you could make it in a different shape, all those kind of things, and that complicated it, I think. Now usually I put, and I may still put the heating pads, like warming pads underneath, but I was going to do that, especially since it doesn't have the plastic shroud that goes around it. But then these lights, the way they're situated, they're putting up warmth underneath, so I may not need to do that. I'll just have to play around and see. I'll wait a few days and see if nothing happens. I may add the heat mats to it, or I might just leave it like it is. And I could get the plastic off the other one and put on this one, but I'm not sure I'll do that either. I'm just going to leave it like it is and just experiment and see what happens. I've got a huge mess to clean up before I cook supper. Lucky for me, I've got an easy supper planned. I'm just going to have hamburgers and roasted potatoes. I'm so glad to get the things done that I got done today, though. It feels really good to have those cabbage and have the peppers planted and the onions and the other things, little things I planted, mostly cabbage and peppers. I'm so glad to have that chore done. I hope that you enjoyed coming along with me today and seeing this, our first foray into planting of 2024, but also the early spring vegetables that we'll be growing this year. I can't wait to actually be out in the garden putting those radishes in and putting the carrots in, and even better than that, I can't wait to actually harvest all of it and eat it. I know that'll be really great. And I'm going to try to make myself remember, I love gardening because before I know it, time goes by so fast. I'll be harvesting those peppers that I planted today. It'll be hot, I'll be sweating, it'll be outside. It's still kind of cool outside today. Of course, because this is February, there'll be some more bitter cold before true warm weather gets here, ready for peppers. So I really try to think about that, to think ahead, think of what I hope on that day that I'm harvesting those peppers, I can remember this day, being here with my family, being here with you, and know what joy I felt today and then what joy I feel then. I really like connections like that. As always, I'm always thankful when you drop by to help me celebrate Appalachia.